He said, so he was a very practical person, and so he utilized everything in the service of the Lord. I believe sometimes they ask, what about the nuclear weapon? He said, yes, we can use that also. So he was a very practical person, and by his teaching we can see that he was seeing everything as the energy of the Lord. Now, of course, in his purpose, Srila Prabhupada explained there is material energy and spiritual energy. Apara and para bhakti, there is superior, inferior. But then for the devotees of the Lord, who is in love with Krishna, then he sees everything connected with the Lord, because everything emanates from the Lord. In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada said, actually everything which is emanating from the Lord, it is spiritual. But for us, material world means it's contaminated because we looking at the object of our senses and we think we are the enjoyer. So therefore it becomes a material contamination, and we start to think that I am the controller, I am the enjoyer, I am the doer. But for the pure devotee, he sees everything connected with the Lord, and therefore he says, how can I utilize everything in his service? So that's the vision of Tama Bhakti. Of course, Srila Prabhupada explained that from the platform of Uttama, for preaching purpose, we had to come to the Madhyama platform, where we can relate with everybody and everything, and therefore propagate the mission of the Lord. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 500 years ago to propagate this message of love of God, and to experience himself what is the highest pleasure of Radharani for himself, for Krishna. So we have a mission in life, which is to preach or to inspire people to come closer to Krishna, to understand that we are not the body, we are spirit soul, we are eternally servant of Krishna, and we can connect people, to the Lord, if they so desire. Krishna Bhair Mukh, it says that when the living entity is distracted by material enjoyment, is looking away from Krishna. And as Maharaj was telling the other day in a class, the example is given in the tree, there are two birds, one is eating the fruit and the other one is looking at him. So as long as the living entity, they are Bhair Mukh, or they are interested in external material enjoyment, then this message of Krishna consciousness may be not appealing to them, because they have different interests. Their interest is that how can I make money, how can I have position, how can I buy a bigger car, bigger house, and whatever, and so on and so on. With a false ego, they create so many mental concoctions, and at the same time, they suffer in the material world, because they are kind of sleepy in the lap of Maya. So we want to awaken people to Krishna consciousness, and the best way to do it is actually to distribute Prabhupada books, give prasadam, distribute prasadam, doing Harinam, invite people to the temple, and slowly cultivating these people to make them feel friendly towards us and explain the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, the people, they have no choice but to float in a material platform of repeated birth and death. So this goes on forever because we are eternal beings. And there are 8,400,000 different species of life, and we've been going through all of those, now human being. And so as a human, we have great responsibility towards ourselves and towards other people. So only as a human we can awaken our Krishna consciousness, our love for Krishna. The animal cannot, because they are forced by material nature to follow certain nature. So, Manushya Durlabham, it says this human form of life is very rare and very precious. So in this human form of life, we could awaken and realize the Supreme Lord. So there's a great, great, great opportunity for us to awaken our Krishna consciousness and to awaken other people to Krishna consciousness, because this is the greatest gift we can give to anybody. Yes? Because once people, they are awakened to Krishna consciousness, then they start to perceive everything in a different way. And they can see that everything is emanating from the Lord, therefore everything should be utilized in the service of the Lord. So by performing devotional service or by chanting the holy name, even casually, even by joke or by mistake, people can wipe out all their karma. And they can actually awaken themselves and think, okay, what am I doing? Where am I going? What is the meaning of life? What is the ultimate goal of life? Because if we seriously think, materially speaking, well, we work very hard to make money, to have a house, to have family, to improve ourselves in social development. But then in the end of our life, we're going to lose everything. We cannot take anything with us. Jesus says, naked we come, naked we go. So, so it's very, very important that people understand that we are eternal being and we are spirit soul and we are eternal servant of God. Otherwise, they'll be rotting in the material world forever. And the chances of people going back to animal life, it's also very great in this Kali Yuga. It says in the Bhagavatam, Kaler dosanide rajan nasye ko mahaguna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajet. So there are so many bad qualities in Kali Yuga, but there is one good quality. There is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, people can be reawakened, even just by hearing. Yesterday we went and see one gentleman who was dealing in stones, and we were speaking to him, and I was telling him, no, we are the Hare Krishna monks, Maharaj is here. And he said, oh wait, I remember them in 1972. They used to sing this song, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Yeah, we are these people. And then we give him a card with a mantra. Say, please chant this mantra every day, because this will help you to purify your mind, and then you can understand you have millions of dollars worth in your stock, in your shop with diamonds and stone, but ultimately, we're gonna lose everything. But if you chant this mantra every day, it will give you greatest pleasure. So he was very much appreciating. So like that, we can try to promote this mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and say, okay, I'm eating this nectar, how many mango can I eat? I want you to distribute this mercy to everybody. So he said, in every town and village, my name will be heard. So wherever we go, whoever we meet, we should carry with us either some prasadam or some book or some good words by which we can inspire them to take this process of Krishna consciousness or awakening themselves from illusion. But this illusion is very thick. And the duty of Maya is to keep the living entity, in this material world. No one can escape unless they really develop love of God. So it's like a prison house, and we are inside the prison house. There are different levels of prison, different levels of people, different penal codes, and different people that are for many years in a prison, somebody 1 year, 3 years, somebody's for lifetime. But we can actually give people freedom to go out of the prison house once and for all and go back to their spiritual world, to the spiritual world which is our true nature. We are all seeking pleasure. We are looking for happiness. But the happiness is there within ourselves when we connect with Krishna. As long as we are materially motivated, we try to bring happiness from outside inside. But as we become spiritually advanced, we can feel the happiness from inside our heart. Like in this case, we see this Maharaj Mahadwadvaj, he was feeling the presence of the Lord sitting next to him. And then he didn't need to do anything else but dedicate his consciousness in the pursuit of his pleasure. So Krishna consciousness means we want to give pleasure to Krishna in our activity. We don't ask for anything, but we get so much pleasure in return, simply by engaging in devotional service. So this is very important that we actually consciously make an effort to think, how can we please the Lord? There is a beautiful pastimes. In South India there are many, many wealthy temples. So there were a bunch of thieves, and they went and steal in the night. They made a plan how to steal all the ornaments of the Lord. So they went very, very stealthily. They broke the lock, they entered inside, and they stole all the crown, the jewel, and the diamonds, whatever was in possession of the deity. They stole everything. But then while going out of the temple, they stole also the big bell which was there. While going out, the bell fell down on the floor and made a big sound. So the chowkidar wake up. All the chowkidar wake up. All the people wake up. And you know, in India, in very few minutes, you can have a few hundred people. They chase them, and each one give one slap, one kick. So basically they were dead. You know, and then when the police come, who killed these guys? I said, I don't know, I only give one slap, and I said, I only give one kick. So anyway, they were dead. The Yamaduta came and picked them up and said, okay, now you rascals, come. Yamaraj wants to see you. So they went in front of Yamaraj, and then there is that devotee who is keeping the record of all the sin done by the people. And he said, well, you know, this guy, they have a big book of wrong things that they have done. But then at the same time, the Vishnu Duta came and said, stop, you cannot punish these people. And then everybody is surprised, including the thief. What? The Yamaduta said, why we cannot punish these people? They are, you know, they did so many wrong things. Look at the book, you know. They did so many sins, plus they stole all the wealth of the deity, all the diamond, they broke the lock. And say, well, you see, for our Lord, anybody who does even a little service, the Lord becomes very, very pleased. And so the thief themselves, they say, we didn't do anything. We didn't do any service. They were surprised. And they say, okay, no, but you see, when these thieves, they went to steal all the things from the temple, they went to a rice field, and their foot was covered with clay. You know, the rice, they put the rice, and there is always water. So when you walk in this water rice field, then your feet become full of mud. So when they entered the temple, there was some crack in the marble on the floor, and with their feet, walking on the feet, they repaired the crack on the floor. And therefore, for the Lord, this is considered a service. Somebody who repaired the temple, who cleaned the temple, who served the deity, they are on an equal platform for the servant of the Lord. Therefore, they are not punishable. And the thief themselves, they say, wow, we didn't know this. So anyway, they say, okay, step, there's an airplane outside, you're coming with us. And the Yamadutas, they were very surprised, because they thought, you know, Yamaraj is the boss, he's the controller of time, he's the controller of death, he's the controller of all the living entity. So when they went back to Yamaraj, they told, okay, we met these far-out people, the Vishnu Dutas, they are so effulgent, they have Shankha Chakra Gada Palma, they have 4 arms, they're blue, and they look very beautiful. Who are these people? He said, look, these are the people, that the servant of my master. But he said, we thought you are the master. He said, yes, I'm the master, but only little master, not big. He is the big master, he is the super boss. So Yamaraj instruct also the Yamaduta not to go near anyone who has tilak or kuntimala, or even chant once the name of the Lord. So this is how much the Lord can reciprocate with us. even somebody accidentally, repaired the temple of the Lord, or we know the story Maharaj was telling, how by chanting the name of Narayan, what's his name, Ajamil, become completely free from all sin. So the Lord is, for the Lord we are very dear to Him. We are like small children, and the Lord is always looking after us in the form of Paramatma, and He's taking personal care of the devotee who are chanting the holy name of the Lord, who are trying to please Him, who are trying to serve Him. Therefore, the devotees of the Lord are very, 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 very dear to the Lord. And we should never offend the devotee because they are actually, how you can say, they're very precious, even though they're making an attempt, even though we have imperfection, even though we are not purified 100%. But the fact that they're making an attempt to serve Krishna and to awaken their Krishna consciousness, they are glorious. Therefore, the Vaishnava Aparada is considered one of the most greatest offense, because we should never offend any devotee. In Chaitanya Bhagavatam it says, no one should think this is a lower Vaishnava, this is medium Vaishnava, this is a higher Vaishnava. No, Vaishnavas are Vaishnava, they're all worshipable. If somebody comes even one day in the temple, he's a worshipable person. So we must be very, very careful, because this is the only thing which can refrain our bhakti lata to grow and go back to the spiritual world, is because sometimes we have this find fault in nature. Always we find, oh, this is wrong, that is wrong, what about this, what about that, what about this person, what about that person, who you think he is. But actually this is not necessary. We should have a very wide, open mind to accept all the devotees for whatever they are trying to make an attempt, and we should serve them. How can we help everybody to progress in Krishna consciousness? That will create a unity amongst ourselves. There is constructive criticism, of course. We can see sometimes if we are in a position of authority, we have to correct certain things, we have to make some adjustment, we have to also call some people and say, okay, maybe there is some other way you can do this service. But many times what appears to us is wrong. Just like there is another pastimes in South India. Ramanujacharya had many, many thousands of disciples, but there was his cousin brother, he was called Govinda. So all the devotees one day they went and complained. The master, we saw Govinda is sitting outside the prostitute house. What is he doing? This is very strange. So then Ramanuja called his cousin brother and said, Govinda, please sit down. What happened? Why are you sitting outside the prostitute house? Are you waiting to go inside the prostitute house? He said, no, master. I was walking in the street, and from the window of that house, I was hearing the recitation of the Ramayana. And as soon as I heard that, I sit down under the window, and I was enjoying hearing the Ramayana. I didn't know whose house it was. I didn't want to disturb them, so from outside I was listening. So apparently Govinda people think, the devotees were thinking that Govinda was going to the prostitute house, but it was not his intention. Another time they saw him, that he had his hand inside the mouth of a snake, as he was killing the snake. Again the devotee complained. So again Ramanujacharya called Govinda and said, what are you doing? Why are you killing the snake? He said, Master, I was not killing the snake. The snake had one thorn in his throat and he was almost dying. So I put my hand and removed the thorn from his throat and I let it go. Again, so what we perceive sometimes is not necessarily the truth. So most probably the best way we can do is to go and ask that devotee, Prabhuji, I see you doing these things. Like the other day I asked Prabhu, why are you chanting with two hands? It looks strange. I never saw anybody traveling around the world chanting with two hands. But he gives very nice explanation. He said, well, I'm touching Tulsi, I'm becoming purified. So wonderful. So, but somebody can think, why this person is touching with the left hand? What is he up to? Maybe he's crazy. What's going on? But if we simply ask in a humble way, then the person can give explanation. And then we can understand, okay, makes sense. So like that, we must be very, very careful not to offend any Vaishnava. Again, there is a beautiful pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At one point in his pastimes, he sat on the altar and he showed his form that he is the Lord, and he was giving benediction to everybody. So all the devotees there request, please give blessing to my father is sick, please give blessing to my wife, give blessing to my... So one devotee came and said, please give blessing to your mother. And Lord Chaitanya said, I cannot. And they say, why not? Your mother, she's the mother of the universe. She carried you in the womb. She's the most auspicious person we know. And he said, actually, she's an offender. She offended Advaita Acharya, and therefore I cannot give my mercy to her. But she's your mother. Still, I cannot. And the devotee asked, what offense she did? Well, in her mind, she was thinking that Advaita Acharya is actually stealing my son. He's called Advaita, but I should call him Dvaita. He's the one who is duplicious. He already took one of my sons and became sannyasi, and now he's preaching to my other son. And he also becomes sannyasi, and he'll go away, and I'll be alone. I'm a widow. She was thinking like that. She never revealed this to anyone, but the Lord knows everything. So the devotee say, okay, what is the remedy for this? The only remedy is that she should go and take the dust from the feet of Advaita Acharya. When this news came to Advaita Acharya, he was completely upset. He said, what are you saying? You want to kill me? How can Sachimata make any offense against me? It's not possible. I don't remember any offense. She never told me anything. And then he fell unconscious. And then at that time the devotee told Sachimata, please go and take the dust now. That is, because he will never allow you to touch his feet. So she went and took the dust on the feet of Advaita Acharya. And then the Lord said, okay, now I can give love of God, Krishna Prem, to her. So many, many pastimes like this, with the devotees. The Lord taught by his exemplary action how to be a perfect devotees. So if we are always careful in our devotional life, and if we are always enthusiastic in performing our service, and we are always humble in serving the Vaishnava, in this association we can grow very, very fast, spiritually. And we can perceive the Lord. And we can see the Lord is making many arrangements for us. Sometimes bad, sometimes good, but to awaken or to make us more surrender. So we are always able to perceive Krishna in our daily life. And this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. There's a Bengali slogan, Rake Krishna Mareke, Mare Krishna Rakeke. If Krishna wants to protect you, no one can defeat you. And if Krishna wants to kill you, no one can protect you. So let's take shelter of Lord Krishna, and let's take shelter of His holy name, which is not different from Him. And let's try to help the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in spreading this Krishna consciousness. Here in Melbourne, there are so many wonderful people. It's a nice place. And so, in that way, we'll be able to please the Lord, and we'll be able to go back home, back to Godhead. I'd like to thank you very much for your attentive hearing. If you have any question or you have any comment, I will appreciate to hear. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
You said,
oh, sorry. Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya's mother made an offense in the mind to Advaita-acharya.
Yes.
But I also heard that if you make any offenses in the mind, in Kali Yuga, you don't get any reactions.
That's true. Because if if the Lord counts all the offenses we make in our mind, then maybe we'll go to hell. So the Lord does not consider in Kali Yuga any offense which goes in our mind, but at least we must be careful not to be verbal or physical against Vaishnavas. We maybe think something and okay, whatever, but the Lord doesn't consider that. Of course, that doesn't give us license to think bad of the devotees. So we must, at one level, also control our mind. The mind can be our best friend or can be our worst enemy. So those who control the mind is the best friend, because the mind will also assist us to be dedicated to Krishna consciousness. And but if we cannot control our mind, we start to find fault in everything and everybody. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says the best policy is always to try and fault in ourselves first, because what we see outside is the reflection of our consciousness. So if we find many faults, most probably the same faults are present in our heart. So we have to be a little sincere, honest, and introspective to see this. Apart from that, we can have a close friend in Krishna consciousness, which we can relate and say, Prabhu, I'm feeling like this. What do you think? Am I in Maya? Am I deviating? I am okay. So a friend we can approach, somebody who can help us at the time of need is very, very important. Does this answer your question? Yes? Yes. Hare Krishna.
I was just wondering.
Yes.
See, Sati Mata, she's the eternal mother of the Lord. So, if she did this as often, was it Lord Chaitanya made her do it so that it can be taught something?
Yeah, we can accept this as a pastime of the Lord, because how can such a mother offend anybody? Because she was always very eager to serve the Lord. So we can understand in the pastimes of the Lord many things happen for teaching. Like Chota Haridas, the Lord punished him and he commits suicide. So because he went and begged from house to house, and he begged in some house where there was a beautiful girl, but there was no fault of his. But still the Lord, to teach others, he used the devotees. In this case, he used his own mother. So we can understand this is the pastimes, not that she was influenced by Maya or illusion, because the eternal associate of the Lord, they are not under the influence of material nature. Does this answer your question? Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Maharaj, say if I am very busy, for example, now I'm retired, but if I'm seeing too many patients, I can't do my chanting, or if I'm busy in the house. So, is very important to do chanting first and then other things, or first we have to do chanting?
That's a very nice question. I think all of us have to find his own balance to find the proper time for chanting. Most probably, if you take a white page and you write what time you do everything, you'll find gaps in between which you can chant, or you can maybe while you do your homework or service, maybe you can put a bhajan also at the same time. I don't know, if you're a doctor, you're seeing patients, so you cannot do, and you have to give attention. But yes, the idea is that we should commit ourselves in a gradual process. Maybe we can chant 4 rounds every day, and then when we do that for 1 month, we can increase to 5 rounds. Then it's not point of chanting 35 rounds, 36, and then one day we don't chant at all. So it's like I invite you to my home, and then you say, I'm sorry, today there is nothing to eat. And then why you invite me home? Could you make some arrangements, some fruit, something? I don't know. So it's like we are appealing to the Lord, please engage me in your service. And so we want to go steady to the platform where we can maintain our consciousness very high. But the fact that you are retired, you should have more time. I am also retired. I'm also traveling with Maharaj. And so we have to kind of adjust our schedule. Maybe we wake up 1 hour early in the morning, we go to sleep 1 hour early in the night, and maybe there is some activity which we can adjust. This is called time management. So we see what is the best we can do to maintain our Krishna consciousness always high. We stay high forever. I mean, we don't want to come down into the modes of material nature, be influenced by stupid things which we know are not beneficial for us. So, but nobody is forcing you to do anything. It's your choice. So you gradually figure out if you need some help, I'm sure there are devotees who can help also you to see what is the best schedule. This is managing our life. So we are all managers. So the wife are managing the kitchen and the house, the husband managing the job, and the children managing to go to school and learn. So we're all managing something. And this is the relationship with the material nature and material world. So in this 24 hours, we have to accomplish certain amount of things. We have to take rest, we have to take a bath, we have to eat, all the things necessary to maintain the body. But at the same time, we want to also have some qualified time which we dedicate only to the chanting, which is very important, or listening to lecture of Srila Prabhupada, or reading Bhagavatam, whatever. Any of these items that are beneficial for us to maintain our Krishna consciousness. Now, there is also like and dislike. Maybe some people like more philosophy, some people like more music, some people like more cooking, some people like more speaking. There are so many varieties. It's a very wide open range of things and activity we can choose to perform to keep us Krishna consciousness. But the idea is to maintain steady, amount of chanting. Prabhupada said minimum 16 rounds. Yeah, minimum 16 rounds. So, and of course, if we chant early in the morning, it's very easy because our mind is clean, it's pure, and we're not influenced by passion and ignorance, because in the morning it's sattva guna. Compared to chanting in the night, you say, okay, I'll chant in the night, but in the night it's very slow, it's very difficult, your mind, you're tired. So it's easy to allot certain amount of time. Maybe not to, you cannot chant 6 rounds all at once, but let's say half an hour or 20 minutes. Let me focus in chanting and hearing properly the holy name of the Lord with devotion, because this chanting of Krishna's name is not different from Him. So we can feel His presence. We can feel the blessing of the Lord by this chanting. As we perform chanting, we become more purified and we are advancing Krishna consciousness to the point that we come to pure chanting. There will be no interference, no other desire other than to please Krishna. And then we are situated on the platform. Yes?
You already answered more than 90% of my question.
Sure.
A little bit doubt more.
Sure.
Supposing I am doing so many letters at night, or I am doing something which may be busy, and I can't get up early in the morning. So what do I do in that case?
See, again,
at night,
yeah.
in the house,
Yeah.
because I can't finish my work. So how to get up early in the morning, that becomes a problem.
There is a British saying, early to sleep, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. But, it's our own, some people, they are day people, and some people, they're night people. I wish you said this distinction, So people like more to work in the night. There's some people that are like this, But for spiritual life, it's best is to go to sleep early and to wake up early. Maybe you can accomplish the same letter you do in the night, in the day, and you will do much faster because, I don't know, maybe your mind is more fresh and your intelligence works faster, but you can try. Try to go to sleep 1 hour early and wake up 1 hour early, just dedicate you, and then you start all the other activity. First thing first. So we want to first things get a blessing of Krishna, then all our day is fully charged, our battery, and we go in bliss in performing all our activity. That's my personal experience. Any other questions there? Any comment?
Do you remember what Prabhupada would do with the other one?
I don't know. We didn't ask him, but I'm sure he'll destroy all the demons, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
It's interesting that Prabhupada's pointing in purple here that the Guru really doesn't see any difference between material and spiritual. But that tendency is to look down on material nature as being generally bad. I just wonder if you have any further comments about that.
Yeah. Well, Srila Prabhupada give you example of electricity. He said an expert electrician can transform electricity into heat or into cold. But the electricity is the same. So similarly, we can use everything which is coming from the Lord, material and spiritual. Now, as I was saying, from Krishna's point of view, everything emanates from Him. even the material nature emanates from him, and then it goes through the cycle of destruction, and it goes back into his energy, into his body. So it's material because we separate ourselves through sense enjoyment, identifying ourselves with the body, and therefore we go under the modes of material nature, and the false ego makes us believe we are the enjoyer. That's material. But once we awaken to spiritual consciousness, so whatever we see, we can see the presence of Krishna. In the tree we can see, okay, this tree is a spirit soul, and it's giving nice fruit and flower I can offer to Krishna.